The next thing I want to do is remove the stem and the crown being the winding knob, and the stem is the metal rod that comes from that into the movement in order to wind, that allows you to wind the watch and set the time. In order to remove that, we have to loosen this little teeny screw right there. And modern movements make this a lot easier. More modern movements have a button that you push that's usually located around that same place. You push it down, and while you're holding it down, you pull the stem out. This one's a lot different though. You have to loosen the screw, and you don't want to completely take it out. You just want to loosen it enough that the thing will come out. So we tried to turn it about a quarter turn or so at a time, very carefully with a small screwdriver, and keep trying until the stem comes out. I went ahead and finished that off camera because it was too hard to line up the screwdriver in the hole when it was under the camera, and all you were getting was an unfocused view of my hand anyway. So I've got the stem out. The next thing we need to do is we need to remove this wheel right here. This is called the crown wheel. And when you turn the crown, when you're winding the watch, a gear underneath that turns this one, which then turns this, which is the top of the mainspring. The mainspring barrel. The mainspring is inside this. It's like a little cylinder that's closed on the top and bottom. The spring is on the inside of it. The gear that's on the top of it is for winding the watch, and then there's another gear on the bottom which turns to turn all the other gears inside the watch to give the power to the movement. So let's go ahead and do this first. I've loosened the screw on the crown wheel, and something you need to be aware of on this one is that this screw typically turns the opposite direction of normal screws. Normally, to loosen a screw, you would turn it counterclockwise. The screw that's used on the crown wheel is what they call a left-handed screw, which means that you have to turn it clockwise to loosen it or counterclockwise to tighten it. And the reason for that is because the direction that this wheel turns when you wind the watch would cause it to loosen its own retaining screw if it was a normal screw. So be aware of that. If you try to loosen it by turning it counterclockwise like you normally would for a screw, you'll actually be tightening it, and you could end up stripping out the screw if you put too much force on it. Something else we need to do too before we take anything else off, and I should have done this before I loosened the crown wheel screw, was we need to remove the click. That's this little mechanism here. This is the ratchet that you hear clicking when you're winding the watch, and it only allows the watch to be wound one direction. That way, once you wind it, it doesn't come unwound. And we need to remove that. There's a little spring underneath it too that we need to get out and be aware of to make sure that it doesn't fly away. And I'm going to go ahead and take that off. I'm going to go ahead and take the screw out off camera. I've got the click screw loosened, so I'm going to take the click screw out with a pair of tweezers and drop it in my parts tray. Very carefully so that we don't lose the screw. And that took out, the click came out with the screw, so that made it easier. Now we need to get the spring out. I don't see a click spring in there, so I don't know if it's fallen down into the movement or where it is. So I'm going to go ahead and take out the crown wheel and its screw and see what else is in here. So let's go ahead and take out the mainspring barrel and see what else is in there.